Hi everyone, just make sure I'm not muted. I am not muted. Welcome to live number 62 with my friend, fellow Matrix artist, Rosie Briscoe now. Well, congratulations, by the way.
That's right.
Today she's showing us how to basically get your ideas onto paper, pretty much, in it, but creative illustrations and things like that. So without further ado, I'll pass you over, mate. Nice to see you.
Hi. So obviously, thanks Simon for letting me do this. This is the first time I've done anything quite like this. So I, similar to Simon, am a matrix artist, guest artist. So I teach courses in mainly colour and a bit of styling. So I'm much more used to teaching with a blockhead and a comb and colour, and this is completely new for me to try and show people drawings. So, like, obviously, fingers crossed, live, it's all going to go all right. Um, so within an hour, the chances of me being able to teach people that cannot draw at all how to draw wasn't going to be possible. So I've kind of devised a little bit of an idea. Hopefully this will work and anyone watching it back will be able to kind of draw along. Um, my thought process on this um, kind of comes from my background. So before I started hairdressing, I actually went to art college and I started doing fashion and textiles. Now I know a lot of people think that some people think hairdressers are not artistic creatures. Some hairdressers think, oh well, I'm creative, but I can't draw, so I'm not artistic. And I kind of disagree with that. Fashion textiles and hairdressing to me are so similar. So fashion design is about form and shape and building structure, and the fabric design is about texture and colour and pattern. And now, if that doesn't describe a hairdo, what else does? So I would say design when it comes to hairdressing should be thought of exactly the same as an art project should be. Hello, everyone. Hi. Hi, Lisa. Okay. Sorry. So yeah, basically, what I wanted to do was try and show you guys how I kind of how an art project runs and how you can do that within hair. So instead of trying to think, oh, for this hair design, I want to do a bob and I want it to be blonde with violet streaks. Instead, thinking from an art point of view, how you come up with the inspiration and then how you look at the primary kind of inspiration and primary research and then your secondary research and then how you end up with your final product and how you can see the journey of inspiration through it. So basically, just to kind of explain a few little things that I'm going to do, I want to kind of take away the idea of drawing hairdos. So no one is going to be drawing a bob. No one's going to be drawing long hair. So the first thing, if anyone is drawing along, what would be great, I did say a little bit of a list of things that people need. So the first thing that you guys are going to need, and you can do this while I'm talking, is some shapes cut out. Now, I've coloured mine in because I realised when I was looking earlier that you wouldn't be able to see white against white. So I've coloured mine in. But if you
Very
want
clever.
to cut out some some of your own, triangles are the things that I'm up to, triangles and circles. And I've done lots and lots of different sizes, little ones, big ones, all different shaped triangles. So if you guys want to cut a few out, this will come in handy later. I've not coloured them in very well, to be fair. But yeah, I've not even had the wine that I've poured yet. But yeah, so if you want to cut out some shapes while I'm still talking, that would be a really good idea. Is anyone kind of going to be doing this along with me? Is anyone prepared with pencil and paper and stuff in hand?
That's a
I
good
know
question. That I
Simon
know my
said
mother-in-law said she was gonna have a go until she's seen the list of
she any good. Is
watercolor
she good at
pencils.
drawing usually?
I've not that I'm aware of, but she's good at textiles.
Not that you're aware of. It could be a secret talent that you
It
don't know
it
if she's got.
certainly could be. She's very good at textiles and creativity like yourself.
So this is the thing. Oh, Brent's doing it. Good work, Brent. He'll do it well. So that's the thing. A lot of people say to me in hairdressing, oh, there's artistic hairdressers and then there's other hairdressers. And I think anyone that is designing a hairdo 3D on a person is sculpting, and anyone doing colour, when you have to understand the colour wheel and how colours work, whether you know it inside out or whether you just naturally do it, I don't think anyone can argue that anyone doing hair isn't creative and artistic. And being able to draw is such a minor part of that. But going back to kind of projects and how I do it. So me and Brent, we have done the British Hairdressing Awards quite a few years running, and the first year we actually entered was the year that we won. And that hair was actually inspired. It's a collection called Hinterland, and it was inspired by kind of landscapes. So if you imagine when you're doing an art project, if you were designing a dress or designing something at art school, the way that they would teach you would be you would have your primary research. So that would be going and seeing landscapes, going and taking pictures of landscapes, looking at other artists that have drawn landscapes. And then you have your secondary research, which would be drawing lines from what you've gathered, or taking bits of texture from what you've gathered, or finding kind of bits of things that are from your primary research and kind of starting to develop it and draw it and play around with it. And then your final bit would be creating that into an outfit or a sculpture or a picture or whatever. So we're going to do that with hair. So you technically, you could be inspired by anything, and we could draw lines and shapes and kind of research and find a secondary kind of research. But today, because we wouldn't have time to do that for everyone, that's where your triangles have come from. So we're going to say that you were inspired by, I don't know, some kind of thing that has triangles and circles in it. And that's where you've kind of drawn these from. And that's what's going to kind of make the sculpture of our hairdo. So I'm going to move my camera around. And like I said, this is all a bit new, doing drawings. So feel free to tell me if you can't see anything or if I'm not showing you enough. It's all a bit weird. Usually this is not the setup that I would. Is that all right?
How
And
creative does
thankfully,
that
you have to
setup
look
look?
at
That
me
looks absolutely amazing.
Well, this is the reason this looks really weird is because this is my staircase, so that's why it's kind of coming at you. So first and foremost, what we are going to do to try and get you guys drawing straight away. Anyone's drawing with me, I told you guys to get some of this special paper. Now, if you're watching this back and you don't have any of this paper, I mean, it is amazing stuff, but if you don't have any of this, you could trace or just kind of draw around, or if you're good at drawing, I wouldn't usually always use this. I kind of bought this for this technique and to show you guys, but if you've got some, it's going to be great. So I'm going to have a look through magazines and I'm going to tell you what we're kind of looking for. So I've got Creative Head. The only hair magazine I could find in the house at the minute. I don't know why. I should have tons. And I've also got a few fashion magazines. But genuinely, if you've got anything with people's faces in, it should be fine. So I've pulled this one out already. Oh, the paper, what's it called? It's, oh God, what is it called? My lines have gone blank. Can anyone remember what it's called?
It's what tattoo things used to use, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like something transfer paper, and I can't
Yeah.
remember what the word is. It'll come to me, and I'll write it on afterwards. I promise. So yeah, this is the kind of this is a good picture. The reason it's good, you can see a good bit of the side of her face. You've got a good bit of her neck, which always makes drawing easier if you can get a good bit of shape around there, and you can see where her head ends. Her hair is actually flat to the head. If you get something too kind of big and boofy, if you're not great at drawing, it's hard to kind of imagine where her head finishes. So this is great because her hair's quite flat. So you can see the shape of her skull. You can see where her shoulders are and her neck. And the outline of her face is pretty clear. So carbon paper, thank you, Nicola, amazing. That is what it's called. I don't know where that went from my brain. Um, so yeah, so she's great. So I'm going to probably use her. Faces that aren't so great to use are things that are tricky. Mouths open, so laughing faces, not so easy. Um, Anything in magazines where they've cropped off the top, obviously, it's all right if you're good at drawing. It's a lot harder if you're not because you're having to make up where the lines end. So looking through this, there's a few that are all right. And again, you're not looking at the hair. So, for instance, this lady, if her mouth is closed, that would be perfect. You've got a great bit of body. You've got a great bit of the outline. You can see kind of where her head ends. That a really nice strong jaw. That makes it really easy to kind of copy. But yeah, if you guys have a look through, again, she's great. You can see the top of her head roughly. You've got a nice face shape and a nice bit of neck there. There's a few in here that I know I've already looked through and kind of thought would work. There's a few that would make it harder. These girls, these are all great. You can see a nice good bit out of them. So what I'm going to do anyway, I'm going to start with this girl because, like I say, she's quite easy. She should be quite easy to follow. Now, the idea of the carbon paper, thank you, is you place it down on your paper, and then you're going to trace the outline.
What about that picture?
So yeah, that would be perfect. So really clear. You can see where the top of their head would be. You've got a good bit of shoulder, good bit of neck. If you have the chance and you could print out pictures from like people's entries from the BHA and stuff, because that's hair photography, you'd always get really good examples of it. And like I say, you're not copying anyone's hair, so it really wouldn't matter if you're stealing people's kind of drawing from people's pictures, because the hair will be different. And to be honest, the faces will be different as well. It is just to get the perspective and the measurements right. Basically, my thought process behind this, my thought process behind this was I could give you a template, and my worry with giving you a template would be that you would only ever be able to draw that template or from that direction. So if you wanted to draw somebody looking at 45-degree angle, you could draw that, but that'd be it. If I gave you a few templates, like they do in education courses, like they do in kind of books where you get the outlines of heads, they're very mathematical, and I don't feel like they make you think very creatively. So I think this way, it's going to give you the ability to draw different ones depending on what you're wanting to create and be a little bit more creative. So I'm going to show you, I've already pre-prepared.
In my usual unprepared state, as we work together, you know what I'm like.
Yeah.
I didn't have an image, so I'm tracing it off my screen. So let's hope this works.
That's also a really good technique. One of the great things about iPads and phones and all the rest of it is that you can turn the brightness up. So you can kind of trace. If I get a picture on my phone and I wanted to trace like the outside edge of it, it's quite easy because you can turn the brightness up. Hi, Michael. Yeah, so that it does make that easier. So, hi, Dave. So I have been prepared, unlike Simon, which is unusual for me. I'm not always that prepared. But here are some heads I drew earlier. So this is all from this lady here. As you can see, I've done 3 versions. Now, I would call this version the kind of smarty pants. This one, testing the water, and this one, I'm terrified. So depending on how good at drawing you think you're going to be and how easy you're going to find it to do, you can either just press onto the paper, just a really small amount, the dots for eyes and a little line for the mouth and a line for the chin, and then you can change it and make up the rest. You can do a little bit more of the outline, or you can do absolutely tons and tons and really kind of take that image on. So what we're going to do, we're going to aim for about here because this is live and it could all go wrong. So I'm going to show you how now we kind of take a print from that, and we're going to go and take quite a bit of information from this. So your carbon paper, there's two sides to it. One looks like black tissue paper, and one feels like inky and kind of weird. So the inky side, you'll get it off on your fingers, is the kind of side that prints off. So if you put ink sides down onto your piece of paper, now this is the great bit. So instead of tracing through something, what you're going to do is you're going to put your picture over that, and all we're going to do is draw what we want to come out on the other side. So you can use a pencil, you can use, sometimes these are quite a good idea, like if you have an iPad pen, something that doesn't actually come out, because you can then draw over the image time and time again. So this is from one of those kind of tablet pens, and I'm going to draw over it. Now I'm going to bring you in a little bit and hope that everyone can kind of see.
So just so there's no excuses for anybody who says they can't do it or they haven't got the correct tools, this is what I'm currently doing for my setup. So I've stuck a piece of sellotape to the desktop.
Yeah, and then you're getting the exact same thing. You can see through it. Turn your brightness up a bit, and then you'll be able to see it even more. That's perfect.
Perfect.
The reason I suggested this carbon paper is just because it's a really quick and easy way, but there's tons of other ways. So all we're going to do is draw around the kind of edge of the face. When you've been doing this a while, you can start to change it up. So if you want to elongate something or change something, you can kind of start to work out what you want to leave out and what you want to add. So I really like elongated necks in my drawings. Most people look at most of my drawings and think they all look a bit alien. So I'm only going to do a little line for the neck because I know I'm going to do a little bit more. Now at this point, it's a really good idea just to check that it is coming through, which mine is. That is because the amount of times I've done it with the carbon paper in practice the wrong way around is unbelievable. Even though I've told you which way around to do it, doesn't mean you're always going to get that right. So I'm going to do the eyes. I'm going to do 2 dots to the centre of the eyes. That's quite important because if you're not the most skilled at drawing, sometimes just getting the centre of the eye slightly wrong can make them look like they're looking off into the wrong direction. So we're just going to go around those. I'm going to just do the bottom line of the eyebrow. So I know that it's the top line that I've not done. I'm going to do a few dashes and a few dots to kind of round where the head, I think, would finish. I'm not going to do a continuous line because the carbon paper, the one bad thing about it is you can't actually rub it out. So once it's there, it is there. I'm going to do a nostril. I'm going to do the tip of their nose and this little bridge bit here. I'm not going to draw the whole line. With the mouth, I'm going to do a little dot for each side of the mouth, a little dot for underneath the lip, and a bit of the top lip, which will give me an idea of where to use. So that should now, you can keep kind of having a look. I've kind of got a very dotty lady with a few lines and a bit of a thing yet. So I'm kind of all right with that. So I'm going to take that off, and I'm going to show you where we're at. So I've got a bit of a face, and I've got some dotted outlines of kind of where the hair and the shape of the face used to be. So I don't want to go too fast. How's everyone getting on with that? Is that making sense, Simon? How are you managing?
So I've got eyeballs, I've got nostrils, I've got lips, and I've got the front features of the face. I'm just wondering about the back of the head and the hair.
Like that. Right, perfect. So it resembles, you've got a bit of information.
Yeah. And a good friend of ours, Sharon, has joined saying hello.
Hi, Sharon. So Sharon can also draw really well. So if she's going to be drawing along as well, and Brent can. So we've got some people that can draw quite well on here already. I don't know about everyone else. If everyone wants to say whether they can or can't, whether you guys are having a go or not. I know there's some people on that will be like, no way. But honestly, I think this is going to be a really, really easy way to have a go. So even if you're not doing it tonight, I think you should get on it, and I'm sure Simon will share some of the images on the hair social page if everyone has a go. Michael, can you draw? I don't know. Like I say, hairdressers, we're all very creative, but I don't know. Tracy, is that a thumbs up? Yes, you can. Oh, perfect. Great. Well, have a go later, Sharon, and we want to see your pictures. Right, so we've got a basic outline. When it comes to tools in hairdressing, I'm very particular. So I would only use a certain comb. I am very particular about what colour I use, what products I use. In drawing, that's all out the window. So I'm happy with cheap and cheerful, anything to kind of be a bit creative. If you do have a set of these pencils where you get a bit of everything, I would say something like a H or a 2H, might be a bit too hard. Something like a H. The B ones are always a little bit smudgy and a little bit too soft. So if you are bothered for tools, go with something like that. So, oh, hi, Sheree, don't worry. Come in, come and draw with us if you dare. Right, I'm just struggling to get this camera down, so excuse me while I yank at it. So I don't know whether that's easy to see. Right, I'm probably going to have to draw a little bit and then pick it up and kind of show you guys so you can see a little bit easier. And keep laying it flat. So what I'm going to now do is I'm not necessarily going to follow every line that we've just drawn, and I'm going to start. I wish you guys could see that.
In the practice run earlier, we worked out, didn't we, that if you put the paper towards the camera so it focuses on that brightness, then it seems to sort itself out a bit. And then bring it back down. There we go. And then bring it back down. It should be all right now. There you go.
It's better,
I just lost it.
Yeah.
There we go. Perfect.
That's better, isn't it?
Yeah, the mother-in-law's on. So we were talking about her earlier. She might not have seen it, but she's on. Linda Gilden.
Hi. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change a few things up. So anyone that's seen any of my drawings before, and they are all on my Instagram if you want to have a look. Like I say, elongated necks are a thing. I'm going to add in a little bit of a shoulder here and a little bit of a shoulder here. A lot of my drawing is very kind of loose and just freehand and going with what I want. And that's the great thing about a pencil is you can erase it a million times over. Hi, Linda. You can kind of keep drawing and getting rid of it. And the one thing with hair that's so worrying, even when you're doing a blocked head, is that stuff costs a lot of money. And this works a lot easier for planning ideas and trying things and drawing it and drawing it and drawing it. And then if it doesn't work, you don't have to, spend any money on a blockhead. You don't have to try it. What I love about doing things like this is hairdressers, I would say, we're all pretty visual. We're all visual learners. And I think sometimes we learn visually. So when we're explaining what we want to do to someone's hair, and Sharon Peake, if she's still on, she's the master of this. When you're talking to a client, sometimes you just want to be able to draw what you're saying, or pictures are such a good tool. And the problem is if you can't Google and find the image, if it doesn't exist yet and you want to design something different, then being able to draw it and show somebody, whether that's show a photographer, whether that's show like your mate that you want to do a shoot with, whether that's whoever. I think sometimes being able to draw and show somebody your ideas is a much better way. It just gives more option to, it's like a third way of showing people without actually doing it or spending any money. And I think it's a great way to get your ideas down and to record things and to plan stuff. So to plan shoots, to plan ideas and to kind of work things out as you're going. So I'm just kind of sketching in a little bit more face. Mine always looks a little bit sci-fi. I don't know why that is. They always do. I like weird little elements. So I did a few little sketches actually. I should have some here. Just to show you guys. So like, here's an example of lots of eyes. So
They're amazing.
no eyes, no eyes. These are really quick. So they are like little doodles and little quick things. So I am happy and will not judge anyone if anyone does a drawing today and they have a circle and a line. Very fashion design, very kind of cool 80s fashion illustration. I'm down with it. That's great. If you want to go with a nice closed eye, if you're worried that the eyes aren't going to be looking right and it's not going to work, just do a nice little curved line with some eyelashes coming off it, a nice like closed, there we go, nice closed eye, totally okay with it. If you want to go for something a little bit more kind of cartoony, those two shapes, great. Anything works. And if you want to look up online any illustrators, you'll always find everyone's got a little bit of a different style. My style's quite weird. I definitely say it's a bit sci-fi looking, crossed with fashion illustration. I don't know where that comes from, but that's what I do. Here are some mouths. Again, it's not always what you draw. Sometimes it's what you miss out. So this is one that I do often. I just do the center line and a bit of the bottom line and a bit of the top, and usually little circles underneath, which is just kind of the way I've done for a long while. One line through the center and a little bit of a dimple for the chin works perfectly. If you want to do something more shaded with just, the center darkened so that it looks like the mouth open, cool with that. Even just a shaded mouth and some dots for kind of explaining what's going on. It doesn't necessarily have to be that detailed. I'm happy with a line and like a little semicircle, some eyes. So if I keep going, is everyone kind of understanding?
Yeah, I'm taking mine too far. I can tell you now. I've drawn a nose.
Have you already done too much? That's okay.
It doesn't look like a nose.
All right. So we're kind of, what I want is like, we've got kind of an outline of a face, and I've done a few little extra bits. I've done a little bit of a shoulder. I've done some little lines. I've kind of started to personalize it a little bit. But that's as far as we're going to go for now. The next thing I'm going to do, and you guys might not be able to do this as quick. So if you guys can and you don't want to colour it in right now, I said that paint was probably the easiest. That's because I didn't imagine everyone would have this many coloured kind of types of pens with skin colour. But I am just going to start putting a little bit of colour in. Now, girls, or boys, depending, one of the best ways to know where you want colour when you're kind of doing these things is think contour. So most girls do contour. They know that it's kind of darker down the side of the nose, darker in the eye well, darker parts around the face, the cheekbones. So when I'm colouring in to give a face kind of a bit of dimension, I'll use maybe 2 different skin colours, as you can hopefully see here. I'll perhaps, everything is quite messy. I don't have to colour everything in. I will overlap. I will build up colour, which these pens are really good for that. If you don't have anything like this, watercolour paints is what I suggested, because that's probably easier. Then I've usually got something at the side of me just to check the colour that's coming out, and that's great with watercolours as well. So I'll perhaps do a little bit of grey here, a little bit around the eyes. I know where it's kind of going to be darker. Now you can already see that starts to build quite a good space. You know where shadows hit, you know where kind of contour would hit. That's where I start to kind of build up. Again, you don't necessarily have to colour yours in today, or it's not the be all and end all. But if you can start getting a bit of colour on while we're going, that'd be cool. Now it doesn't look like much at the minute, and I always find at this point I'm always starting to think, oh, I don't know whether this is going well or not, but usually when you get the fine liner pen on, that's when things start to take shape. I've just caught a glimpse of my nails. I coloured my hair the other day without gloves because that's what lockdown 2 will do to you. Don't tell everyone at Matrix, I'm sorry. It's dead bad of me. So how are you getting on, Simon?
So yeah, I'm just trying to create the shadows with basic pens of highlighters and rubbish pens.
That's good. That's cool. But it's making sense, is it? Yes, thank God.
Yeah,
It's
apart from
making
she
sense.
looks like she's been boxing, I'm
Oh,
actually
bless
quite
her.
happy with the eyes and the mouth. I've just messed up
Yeah.
on the nose. Yeah.
Okay. So don't worry too much because obviously at the minute all we've used is hi Kaylee. All we've used is pencil and then we've used some colour. So nothing is like fully permanent yet. Oh, Sharon wants a close look. So I don't know how well you can see. So that's where we're kind of looking at the minute. So basically, at the minute, nothing is fully permanent. I mean, I can't obviously take the colour off, but I can go over it, and none of the lines are 100% sorted yet because a lot of the lines you can see I've done several, and I haven't fully decided exactly. So the neck, I could scoop in and do a lot tighter. I could come in here. When I start putting the hair on, I could get rid of some of that. I could go over an eye, like you've still got plenty to play with. And until the fine liner pen comes out, that's when I'm like set on stuff. This is still a bit of a work in progress. So this, I don't want to stay on it too long at this stage, but I know you guys are probably like squirreling away, kind of trying to do it. So I am going to carry on going.
I'm scribbling. Scribbling is a good word.
Are you scribbling away? So I'm going to carry on going anyway, and then, like, obviously, when this is finished, if anyone's got any questions, feel free to, like, DM me on Instagram. If anyone is stuck with anything, obviously, any questions that have been in the chat bar that, because Simon's concentrating on his drawing, if neither of us have caught them, I'll go back and have a little look. So, yes, the next bit, my thought process about showing you guys. Oh, thank you, Matthew. My process of showing you guys was, and there's nothing wrong with this. I feel so worried about sometimes what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with taking inspiration from other hairdressers. It's an amazing thing. I take inspiration from other hairdressers all the time. There's loads of guys I really look up to, and I feel like their hair is really inspiring. But often when I'm on courses and teaching, people, a big question is, where do you get your inspiration? And then I often think, as hairdressers, we'll say, oh, nature and this and this and whatever. And no one explains then how they took that and then how it became a hairdo. And sometimes I feel like that's the missing link on courses. When you're doing colour, it can be quite easy. What were you inspired by? A sunset. So you take the exact colours of a sunset and you put them onto it. But in shape, and if you want to be a little bit more experimental and you don't want to be inspired just by what already exists in hair, it's really hard to think outside the box. So this next bit, go with me on it. Hopefully it'll make sense. But what we're going to do is we're going to use some shapes that we cut out earlier. So if you haven't done it yet, if you just get a piece of paper and you can cut out triangles, is probably easier because you can do that in like 2 seconds. If you want to just cut out some triangles, now this is quite an over-the-top version of how to think outside the box, and there are loads of faults with this. So hair doesn't really do triangle great, and we don't want every single hairdresser to suddenly all do triangle hair. So this is a very basic and quick way for me to show you guys kind of the process. But if you have a look at a collection, I did put it on my Instagram. Me and Brent, who's on, hi Brent, did a collection based on Miro, who's an artist who basically does paintings made out of shapes. And we did a collection and we had literally a square hair, a triangle hair, a really curly circular kind of hair, So yeah, if you wanted to take it to that extreme, you could literally draw squares on people's heads in different angles and work out how to make hair like that. But this is just a play around. So I would think if you have been inspired by Gucci's latest dress, I would perhaps trace a line of Gucci's dress, trace some of the patterns, blow that up, take bits away from it, cut shapes out from their patterns, start layering it on hair. You don't have to, when your finished piece is there, look at it and go, she was inspired by Gucci. If it's just a starting point, it can get so far away from it in the end, and that's fine. So we've been inspired by triangles, and I'm going to move this down so you guys can see. What we're going to start to do, this is the reason why I've coloured mine in, is because I was worried white on white is not ideal. What I'm going to start to do is I'm going to start placing my triangles on her head. So I'm probably going to try a few different ways. I mean, I always get a bit overexcited when they start to look like really avant-garde hats, which isn't what we're designing, so that's fine. Now, I understand that it will be very difficult to make hair do that, and there is a bit of artistic license with this. But it's really nice to stop thinking about a bob. You're not thinking about a bob. Start thinking about different shapes. I'm going to bring that round. Start thinking about things from a different point of view. So I'm going to hold that on, and you can start to see we're building kind of completely avant-garde and different shapes. But you could do something a lot more simple. So perhaps try and do something a little bit more commercial. That's kind of a really chunky fringe, and then this kind of really elongated kind of shape. So if I was going to take that as my design, and again, I'll just hold it up there. If I was going to take that as kind of being my design and my shape, I would then start to draw around it. So I'm going to take my pencil. I'm going to say kind of there.
Sharon saying that collection really shows off your technique, Rosie. They were brilliant illustrations.
Thank you, Sharon. Sharon is also brilliant at drawing. So if you check out Sharon's Instagram, I'm pretty sure she's got illustrations still on there. I think what's lovely about drawing is everyone can have their own style, and like I can always spot one of Sharon's drawings because she's got this really kind of, it's like a Sharon drawing because it's got this really cool like style about it. And my drawings, like I said, are a bit sci-fi. So what I like, and somebody just said very Egyptian. I like that. What's really cool is the more you play around and the more you do it, the quicker you draw and the more you do, the more you'll just end up with a mouse. And that'll be the mouse that you draw on pretty much every picture. And when anyone looks at your work, they'll go, oh, that's so-and-so, because, that's how she draws a mouse. I think you can experiment then with hair shapes, loads and loads of different hair shapes, but your face will end up becoming a thing. So this is just the face that I pretty much draw now. Again, Sharon, she's got a face that you can spot as Sharon's. Brent, he's got like certain things to his work that you can always tell it's his, and I think that's really cool. And the more you do it, the more you'll get your own style. And like I say, even if you're not the strongest at drawing, that doesn't matter. You'll end up with your own style, and it'll be your own kind of way. So I've kind of drawn around these triangles, and that's given me a bit of a shape. Now, I now need to kind of make this feel a little bit more like hair. Well, I'm just going to do that thing that we did. So I want to make it, you can see the very structured triangles, and I want to make it feel a little bit more like a hairstyle. So I'm going to kind of curve some things out. I'm going to curve that line round, and I might flatten that out a little bit, and I'm going to flatten that. I'm going to make it feel like she's got this really big fringe, and so yeah, I've kind of taken a little bit of a corner off and moved it through, just to kind of change it up a bit, make it look a little bit more interesting. And what else you can do with this is we can then start talking about colour. So if you wanted to, we could then start adding colours in. I'm going to keep this pretty simple for this version, and I've just got some kind of general browny kind of colours. Again, you can then start thinking about texture and hair direction. So I'm going to say this hair is kind of going forward, and I'm going to say it's doing like a little comb over from there, and then it's going to do that real big point, that real triangle. I'm going to say everything's kind of coming from there and going over the eye. And then everything's kind of coming down and around. Now you can kind of start to see all my triangles. You can see the kind of shapes that we're getting. It's something that I perhaps wouldn't have thought of in hair, or I wouldn't have sort of done with a blockhead. Then thinking about where you would go from here, designing and working out how to kind of actually make it is another question. But this is more about kind of thinking outside the box and creating different things. You could then add in colour placement. You could add in different textures. These shapes are great to do for designing kind of curly hairdos, because it's a little bit more limitless. With this, you've still got to think about direction a little bit. I hope that's starting to kind of make sense as a shape. How are you getting on, Simon?
Right, okay, so I've still got a triangle on her head. It's
Yeah,
I'm trying to I'm not up to the fringe part. I think maybe once I've done that, it'll incorporate better.
yeah. I
But the
think
colouring in bit's a bit bad because I think my felt tips are a bit thin.
are they? Yeah. I mean, don't worry too much about the colourings now. If you can get kind of something drawn in, I mean, like I say, this is definitely something that's a little bit more avant-garde. You could draw in a more simple hair shape if you want, but this is just a really good way of taking away that concept and that idea of thinking of hair. So the triangles are kind of where you would place whatever your inspiration would be. So if your inspiration was autumn, you would perhaps draw shapes of leaves. You would perhaps get pieces of colour that are autumnal. You would perhaps cut out some autumnal shapes and draw some autumnal things, or anything that makes you think of autumn. And that would perhaps be what you layered over your lady's hair. It is quite difficult with triangles because, hair isn't necessarily pointy. I just
I've
like a
decided I'm
triangle.
doing 2 fringes.
That's cool. Do 2 fringes. Think mullet.
Yeah.
Think 70s mullet with loads of edges and loads of triangles built up on top of each other. I mean, you can go to town on this thing, like get some real kind of crazy shapes going on. Like, just make it as wild as you want, because what we're going to have time for today to show you, it isn't going to be the most perfect thing, and it is going to be a bit out there, but hopefully this kind of idea, you'll be able to take away something from it. So is everyone else kind of getting the gist? You can see she's looking a bit like this now. So it is quite a dramatic hairdo. And now suddenly the face that, you'd all spent so much time working on, a lot of it's actually covered up and a lot less important. Obviously the hair is meant to be the bit that we're kind of working on. And the more you do this, the less time you'll probably spend on thinking about, the face as a perfect thing. I'm going to start now going round mine in ink so I can kind of show you. In fact, I'm going to have a swig of my wine. Cheers if anyone else is.
Honest
having
to
a go.
God, right? Sharon's put two fringes is wicked idea, right? It started off with two
That,
fringes, and it's slightly merging now. But the hopefully you can see the idea when I show you at the end.
I'm like, I think I'm more excited about seeing yours than I should be. Like,
Don't be,
I'm
mate. Don't be.
totally excited for it. I have no idea. It's like that dating show where they like tell you a bit about them, but you can't see them. I feel like I'm kind of getting
Naked
a
attraction.
picture of yours. Yeah, but I'm like, any minute now you're gonna show me something. I'm gonna be like, what? Oh my god. So yeah, this I'm now starting to go around in pen. Now this is the bit where I am less liney. So, oh, cheers, Sheree. I'm glad somebody's joining me. It's not just me. So here you can see I've drawn like several lines for the shoulder, several lines here. But now I'm actually going over it in one decisive line. Now that doesn't mean I'm going to get rid of that pencil. That still has a quality to it, and it still has something that adds to the picture. That's why I don't mind that the carbon paper doesn't go away. I don't feel like this has to be clinical and perfectly drawn. The black line is just like, it's like going over it and saying this is the bit that I've chosen. Like, this is the middle ground of the bit that I want to show off most. But like I say, it doesn't mean that the other lines have to leave. So I'm starting to kind of go around my work. Now, sometimes, especially if you've done a dark colour like I have for the hair, you're actually better going around the hair with maybe a darker, thicker kind of pen. Now you can see some of the areas I've coloured in, I've then kind of missed out. And it's fine that those bits are going off. That all adds to the kind of concept. That's what I mean when I was saying before, if you decide that something isn't great, you're not stuck with it, because you can kind of start to just go around edges, and if you don't like it, you can go around it. If things are too structured, just go across. If you want to make something stand out more, fill it in. If you decide something doesn't look right, try go over it. It's not about it being absolutely perfect, but like I say, when you get to the pen, you are making more decisive lines, but the stuff underneath, so the fact that you've got colouring in other areas, that's okay, and I would keep it there. Everyone like wants to see Simon. Simon, this better be good, man. I'm so excited to see yours as well. I feel like everyone's kind of wondering and hoping that it's going to be good.
I keep
So,
forgetting to unmute when I talk, but honestly, guys, please underwhelm yourselves right now because
under, oh really?
it saves
So
me
you
the
can
effort.
start to see. Is it not looking great? I feel like you don't have enough kind of
Let's put it this way:
positivity
she's
about
gonna have a hat on in
it.
a minute.
Brilliant. That's okay too. I'm down with that. Like, why not? So you can start to see it coming together now. You can start to see some of those definitive lines, especially on the neck and the shoulders, starting to make everything pop. So again, I've got a few like signature things that I do. I don't really know where my styles come from. I think it's just drawing an awful lot of the time. The same shape, like I say, like I've just worked out something works for me, so that's how I do it. So generally speaking, I draw the top, like the bow of the mouth, and then a little bit of a dot either side and a line through the center, and then a line underneath. I also do a lot of little circles around faces. Again, it's just like a little style thing. I usually do some under the eyes. I also like lines. So if I'm feeling like something needs something, I'll just perhaps put some lines in. Some from eyes. I do some little circles under there. I'll perhaps do a little bit of shading there, maybe a little bit there. Kind of mix it up. I like lines where there is shadows. I don't know if you guys caught it. I was just having a play around because obviously no matter how good you think you are at drawing, like practice is where it's at. So if you haven't drawn for a few weeks, then you're not as good. So like this this one is kind of basically made all out of lines. And I just like lines and I like shadows. And then this is kind of where I go from it. So that's more kind of realistic, and this is more the kind of sci-fi thing that I like. So I like kind of taking areas that are shaded and points like that and really do it. So if you guys are still following along, that's kind of where we are at with mine. She's a bit sci-fi, she's a bit cool. That is a hair shape I would never have kind of just thought of on a blockhead. How would I create that? So we would need like some massive side parting from like above the top of the ear or something. So like the model's hair would start here and come across the face. And then this, it looks like it's almost all pulled to the back and there's some volume up here, and then it's tapering off. And it's about starting to work out how we could make those shapes into hair. So that I would say is like, just about there for kind of finishing. I would then perhaps add in some little more lines in the hair if I felt it needed it. Again, around the face, I feel like I'm pretty happy with that. It's pretty simplistic, but I'm okay with that. I think I'm good with that. So I think we'll leave her here. How's everyone else getting on? Are we feeling fairly inspired?
I'm nearly the end, man. I'm still behind because I'm not
That's all
following
right,
in
mate.
fast enough.
This is, there's no race.
There is a race. It's always a race.
There is a race. There is a race to be the best at drawing. Is Simon going to win?
But my dog's barking at me. I think it's scared of me.
That's what Nicola's saying, which is right. That's the great thing about art. I can't see the rest of the comment, but I can see that that's the great thing about art. And that's kind of what I was just about to say to Simon. The great thing is, like, it really, like, it's all just in the eye of the beholder, and doing something different and trying something and being expressive about it. There's no right or wrong. If she ends up wearing a hat, that's still creative, it's still art, and we'll still enjoy it. Oh, come on, Sue. I want to see yours. I'm now going to make sure I get to see yours. So I'm going to do another, drawing down here. I quite like overlapping things on a page. So I'm going to whiz ahead and kind of start drawing around this lady. I hope you guys can see. So I'm just going to draw another kind of shape around the face. I'm going to elongate that neck like I do. I'm going to take the full eye shape on the dot. Has anyone got any questions? Anyone struggling with anything? I want to ask anything. Although I say that, and Simon's probably got his thing on mute.
At the minute,
going,
people just saying, I dare show you, man. Sue, Sharon has said that she's missed, man. I haven't put it on yet, man. Don't worry. You haven't missed anything, and you won't miss anything, even if you see it, trust me.
So, have I done it the right way? I have done it the right way. So this one, so I don't know about you guys, I use matrix colour, and there is a new range of colours out, the mochas, which mochas are like my favourite thing ever, because they're like violets and reds mixed together. I don't know how to make this and I love a mocha. So this next one I'm going to do a different texture. Just to show you guys, and I'm going to do kind of inspired by mocha colours. This is a great thing when you start to draw and you've got some pens or you've got some paints or some stuff, you start to see the colours that you use at work and you start to get inspired by that too. So the new mocha range in Matrix is amazing. I've obviously already put most of it on my head. But there's like violet mochas and copper mochas, so you get the more kind of cool versions and the more warm versions, and I love it. So with this one, instead of the triangles, I'm going to start using little circles. These are obviously just coloured in so you can see them. These aren't particularly anything. But I'm going to do something with some curves to it, maybe do a curl texture so you can see the difference in how I would draw that, although it's very basic. It's like curls. So I'm going to just draw in a little bit of this face. I don't know whether you're going to be able to see. Move this down. So I've just bought this ring light for my house, and I'm not going to lie, it's like the most fun thing when you've got a newborn child and you spend it all day taking pictures of her dressed up in birthday hats, which was today. But I am actually finding it's really handy for drawing and things that it's meant to be for. It's not meant for doing photo shoots of your child. Right, so this lady, she's going to have a really long neck as usual. We've got some kind of shape. I'm going to do some lines here. As always, she's going to have a little bit of that. She might even have a little bit of lineage here. Oh, thank you, Tracy. They are beautiful palettes, Matrix. I don't know what you guys are using color-wise for your drawings, but if you can kind of think about the palettes that you have to hand at work, it does make things easier. Again, it's really nice to not think about hair when you're designing these things and just like pick up a pen or mix some paint and do it, but then it's really fun afterwards to go, right, how the hell would I mix that? How would I make that? So let's get some circles. And now my nice clean working face is looking a little bit shabby. I think we still need a few triangles. I don't know about anyone else, but like I'm kind of a bit obsessed with triangles. Like
Do you know what I'm realizing? The earlier comment, one of the earlier comments was, "It's not what you draw, it's what you don't draw," or something like that along the lines. I've realized that now. I've drawn too much.
Have you drawn too much?
Yeah.
You've gone too far.
I've gone too far.
That's okay. Have you started going around in the black pen yet?
Yeah, I'd say it's finished.
That's when you refine it.
I'd say I've finished. I'm not happy with it, but I'd say I've finished.
I think weird thing you've finished.
Yeah.
Yeah? Do you think you should have finished about 40 minutes ago?
I think that I can't draw. My wife could draw a little bit.
I'm sure it's better than you think.
Well, I can't draw. You can draw. Look. I look at yours and I look at mine, and someone's laughing in the background there because it looks like my 4-year-old's drawing it. Sorry.
Now, is your 4-year-old any good compared to you?
Probably better than me.
Oh, I'm only winding you up. Like, I bet, like, it's probably a lot better than you think, for one. And for two, it's not necessarily, this is more of an exercise in, like, getting creative. And the idea of doing the first one and it being perfect, it just doesn't happen. Like I say, this is a face that I've drawn over and over again, and I've got better and better at it. And the more times I do it, the more the face becomes really kind of insignificant, because the overall image is what I'm trying to create as an illustration, and the hair that I'm designing is kind of more important. So
genuinely, for a first effort, I can tell you now where I would go different.
Where you would go back.
Yeah.
Which is great, isn't it? Like, because you haven't had to colour a whole hair block to realise, oh, I'm loving that, Simon. Do you know what? I really like that.
The only problem is I started going in on the lips and the eyes, and I feel nah, I shouldn't have done that bit.
No, I'm down with it. I mean, obviously, it's more difficult with the chunky pens.
Yeah,
and with the dark colour stuff. But I really like that. I feel that there's something quite 80s about it. I like
Oh,
the
80s.
hair.
So,
There's,
yeah,
there's
see, got a
something
bit of a
like
fringe and
there's something like peekaboo fringe, but like really flat to her head, which I'm really
oh yeah,
liking.
I like it. I think that was an
Like,
unintentional
like
triangle that I could
yeah, it's
remove.
like you've like made a really big like peekaboo, like really big 80s fringe, and then you've really flattened the top of her head down, and then you've got this like mullety underneath it.
If we
I
go
like
really
it.
far away, it looks better.
And close no, close one eye and like go really far
Yeah,
away and shake it. No, I'm kidding. No, I really like that, man. I think that's really
thank
good.
you.
So this next one, I'm going to draw around these triangles. I'm going to make this pretty quick. This one I've gone pretty outlandish with.
Oh, you ready for this?
Uh,
Nicola's nailed it. Ready?
oh, come
David
on.
Bowie hair inspiration. That.
Oh my God, that is it. Yeah, there is definitely a bit of that going on in this. There's like the whole Ziggy Stardust thing going down. Right, this one, I'm going to do some curls, and I want like something a bit mockery. Like this is like a nice berry mockery kind of colour. And I am literally going over where I drew those triangles, and I am doing curls. I'm trying to catch up with what everyone's saying. I drew over the beginning. Brilliant. Right, this. So we're just kind of making these triangle shapes.
If anybody wants to send the pictures to the Air Socials page, I will put it on the live now. But
Please
if not, send
do
us
it. I
afterwards.
really want to see. Okay, so that's like, I'm going to say like a reddish mocha, like a BR mixed with maybe one of the reddier kind of ones. And this one is like the new copper mocha, which like words cannot describe how excited I was about that colour coming out. Like, I don't know, like, for anyone that's not Matrix, I'm sorry to keep going on about it, but like, when 10mm went a few years back, I think I nearly had a nervous breakdown. It's like my favourite colour for toning ever. But obviously the range has got so much bigger, but I find these colours really, really great, and they're lovely on curls. So I'm just kind of using that for my colour palette, and they're really nice and autumnal, so I feel like that kind of works. So it's a bit way out there. You can almost see it's quite David Bowie, like you guys said. Is that somebody saying that they love 10mm? Like, it's
Yeah,
not just
Nicola
me that's
Soul.
like,
Nicola's a
oh,
mad
amazing.
Matrix fan as well.
Really fab. Like, honestly, I know it's a bit mad to be that obsessed about colour, but like, I am. So I'm just going back in and doing some of the kind of base colour. I don't really mind which order I do things in, as long as all the pencil work is done first, then all the colouring in is done, and then all the black lines. So I would never kind of do the black line of the hair and then go back and do the face. I would do everything as like all the drawing, all the colouring in, and then all the fine line, and that's got to be in that order, because your drawing and your colouring in can be really haphazard and lots of lines, and then it's the fine line over the top. That's your refinement. That's going to stick. I've always got this thing at the side of me checking that I'm using the right colours.
Oh, are you
I
ready for
don't
this? Are you going to
know.
be excited, mate? We've got two pictures.
Have you got some pictures coming through? Amazing.
Well, I said two. It's
Do
what it
send
is.
us
I can
through.
only found one. Beckstart Boo is the name on Facebook.
Oh, amazing.
Bear with me.
Fabulous. I
I will
know
put this on the
Becca's looking
screen.
forward to this. I'm glad she's been doing it a lot. Oh my God, amazing. Like, total rock star hair. I
That is
love that.
cool, isn't it?
That is really cool. Like, I can really see the like hair direction as well. which is
Yeah.
really impressive because I think that was a bit I was worried about people not doing. Like it would just look like there was some triangles plonked on their head. But I can almost see how you would make that into hair. Like I feel like she's got like a part in there. Oh, sorry, no, like she's got a part in there, and then she's got like this back comb, kind of really tall, elongated bit with like extensions running off the side. It's really avant-garde, but I love it. I really like it. Thank you so much for sending it in. That's really amazing. Like, I love that. So
I
I'm
was.
hoping that like everyone else is finding this like some kind of use. Like I know it's when Simon kind of suggested that we did this, I know it's a little bit different from some of the from it being hair related, but obviously we're in lockdown, there ain't much happening. It's nice to try something different.
That's what I think I
I was
love
like,
about it. I think I wanted to try a new venture, and then I seen my mother-in-law comment saying, "Oh, I know what I'm getting you for Christmas now," and I'm actually thinking, you know what? I won't mind that. I won't mind having a proper go at it rather than just winging it. But no, I'm
you know
enjoying it.
what,
Like you said, it's 2021 is about trying new things because we haven't been able to do it this year, so let's do it.
this is it, and 100%. Like, don't get me wrong. What is when you think about it? What is art? What's it about? Like, it's just a form of expressing yourself, and it's a lot cheaper using these pens than it is throwing colour down the sink. So
Yeah,
and
that's a
using
good point.
block head. It's just it's when we're stuck in as hairdressers and we're not getting to go and do clients' hair. I mean, the two things I miss are talking non-stop and catching up on the goss. And the other thing is getting creative and messy with colour. So if we can have somewhere like the hair socials where we can catch up on the goss every now and then we can get the creative juices flowing and get throwing some colour out, just because it's not hair and it's not everyone's comfort zone. I think it's really important that we've still got some kind of outlet, and I think this is just a really good way to kind of feel like you can get your teeth into something different and something new. And who's judging it? Like, I think everyone's has got a place in trying something out new and giving it a go. And honestly, like I sometimes draw some stuff and I think, what the hell was that? What was I thinking? And then I keep going and I keep trying and I keep trying, and eventually I usually get something that I'm, happy with. So you're right, Nicola. It's creative and it's fun, and yeah, definitely a stress reliever. Like, I don't know about you guys if you've seen those like adult colouring in books. There's something about that just I can switch off and just sit drawing in and colouring in. I love it. So we've now kind of got a bit of a curly kind of do. Curly hair is great because obviously it's a lot more moldable as like a three-dimensional shape. Some people, if you do the curly ones first, some people find, I would think, would find this easier, because I think when you think about creating a hairdo three-dimensionally, curls you feel like you can mold into a shape, whereas flat hair sometimes you have to think about sculpting it and building something in it. So I think that's
Well,
more difficult.
Kaylee
Curls is
said that you've
easier.
inspired her, Rosie. She's currently searching watercolor pens.
Amazing.
And Becky
I
said,
like that.
"Would you work on the face on the image rather than the side? Would this work on a face on an image rather than on its side? I presume for like front on. I presume she means.
Oh, like a front on. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, totally. So, again, if you guys have a look on my Instagram at some point, I'll make sure over the next few days I keep posting a few pictures. I do quite a few really front on. I think it just so happens that today I've done two totally side on, but yeah, it would totally work. Um, Literally anything that you can kind of go around and follow should be absolutely fine. Right. How are we looking for time?
There's no time limit ever on here, but I mean, just to
We're
let you know
not.
where you are, you're at 8:15.
8:15. Perfect. Well, I will probably have to go soon, as I have a little baby that is going to need to go to bed. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to finish a little bit of the lines of this, and then I might let you guys go and hope that over the next few days, if anyone wants to, I can get Simon to get organised and see some of the pictures coming in, get them on the Hair Socials page. Does that sound all right, Simon?
Yeah, that sounds fantastic, mate. I'd like to post images and share it and sort of inspire everybody, but show off exactly what you're about because you're more than just a hairdresser, which is a pretty good hairdresser at that.
Uh, oh, thank you, mate. Well, thank you so much for inviting me on here. I think you've saved a lot of us from very boring lockdowns, and I wasn't involved much on the first one because I was having a baby, but I'm really happy to have been part of this, and I think like you've really helped inspire quite a lot of us with finding ways to do things in lockdown and learning more from each other and sharing. I think it's great.
Oh,
So
thanks,
thank
mate.
you. So I'm going to leave it there.
Well, not
That's
many
fine.
people realise that I stopped halfway through, didn't it? But I stopped because I broke my legs. So I couldn't even get to the
I
desk
know
to
you
do my.
thought
I know. So on the June the 11th, I broke my leg. So if you're wondering why the live stopped for like two
why it went
months,
quiet.
yeah, that's what. But no, it looks amazing, mate. It's so good. And I've asked people who would be interested in a future class with yourself. Maybe it's something you can do because I know that you're on mat leave and things like that. So
Well, I've been speaking to some of the guys at Matrix as well, and I think hopefully if guys can give me some feedback from today and tell me if you've enjoyed it, let me know, drop me a DM, send me a message, tell me anything you didn't like, did like, reply on Hair Socials, and hopefully if it's something that could work, maybe it'll be something that Matrix want to kind of have me do. I don't know. Fingers crossed. If people have enjoyed it, we'll do more of it. So
100%, if
awesome.
Matrix don't take the course, we'll set a future date
We'll do
because
it.
we've got ways to do it now that we can sort of
Oh,
like put you behind the wall. So people, if they want to sort of like invest in you and invest in themselves, there's ways of doing it. So we can definitely, if the Matrix don't do that, get in touch with us and we'll set a class up.
cool. Right, I will let you all go. Now, I want to see drawings, so please send them to Simon when you get a minute. And I've really enjoyed drawing, so hopefully you guys have too.